Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Today we will be talking about how to make a melodic dubstep drop. So first, big shout out to Chris from Sound Horizon Academy. He's actually one who taught me how to basically make my drops and where my music is today. So if you want to take your music production to the next level, especially if you're interested in like melodic bass or melodic dubstep, definitely highly recommend for you to check out Chris from Sound Horizon Academy. And then also big shout out to Brody from Caslow, who helped the last final touches of my mix and master for this track as well. Okay, so the first fill is just a stutter fill, and basically it's just these bass one shots. And then I just recorded my chord stack into audio, and then just made it, just chopped it up in the same stutter effect. Use the same atmosphere from my drop. Just put a little distortion on it, and then same thing with this atmosphere loop as well. Put an amp for distortion as well. Exhaust to cover the high end, and then a glitch to also kind of cover that high end range. And let's just say, for example, if one of these layers were missing, the drop is not going to sound as full. So let's say, for example, we take out the high end, then there's going to be no high end in my fill. So all that high end is missing. So essentially, that's how if you watch my previous videos, that's how I always layer like everything essentially to make a full sounding song, is just having elements that complement with each other. And that's basically what I did with this fill. And then you hear that winding effect at the end. That's just a tape stop automation, automating the play. And then you can see right here, automating the play right there. And also, I'm actually selling this project file on my Gumroad page for learning purposes. So if you want to grab this project file, feel free to check out the link in my description below. And I'll also be giving a 25 to 30% discount code for the first 25 people that buy this project file. So if you wanted to buy this project file at a discount, definitely recommend for you to hop on it right now before the discount code runs out. And then the first layer is my percussion layers. So this is literally the same kick and snare from my track Take Me Away, and I just used the same exact snare. The only thing that I did a little differently was that I put a drum bus just to kind of bring it up a little bit more and punch through the mix, and a little bit of clip shifter as well, just to make some headroom so I can push the limiter on my master a little bit. And then yeah, on the drum bus I basically just put a little bit of drive and a little bit of transient as well. So let me kind of show you what it sounds like in context of the mix. So this is with it off. So in this case, I mean, it's already really lower in volume too, but even when I had it at a better volume, it just still wasn't cutting through enough. So this is basically what helped with that. And then here's my hats and crashes. I sometimes use rides and then use hi-hats on the variation, but this time I decided to switch it up and just use a crash and hi-hats instead. Next step is just a sub layer by Crankdat. It's from his Patreon. And then of course the dipping is just a side chain. I basically just use a triple compressor like what Alinium does, and then I just have it mapped on my sidechain trigger, which is a rim shot snare. And the next step is my leads. And then of course, you know, all my layers have the same exact sidechain as the one I showed you above. I'm going to show you this style of lead layering. So this first massive patch is the Sublime lead. It sounds like this. This is a classic. I only just did a basic EQ, cutting out the highs and then just getting rid of the lows. That's really it. And then I have a reverb here on the whole entire group essentially. So I'll kind of show you what it does here. Basically just kind of helps the lead blend into the drop more. And then also there's a automation on the reverb as well, so that gap area you hear, there's a little bit of volume automation to kind of give it that like swirl effect, at the same time an automation on the mix of the reverb as well. Next lead is the Square lead by Chris from Culture Code. Sorry, Chris from, who is part of Culture Code, but it's part of his Sound Horizon Academy. But that's what it sounds like. Basically put a reverb at 40% mix and 1 decay. Maybe I should do this as well, just to get rid of some of those lows essentially. The reason why is the funky lead is also mid-heavy, and it's basically a way to make space for it. Otherwise it's going to be too mid-heavy if I have both of these. It's going to clash. So I'll kind of show you. Yeah, I'm just basically making space in the mids, because if I had this off in the context of the mix, and if you listen to the mids, it's just going to be too mid-heavy in the lead section. And then with it on. So yeah, that's basically what that's doing. And then for this one is Orchid Drops. It's just a very like airy kind of lead to add some width to the leads. Just some OTT and some basic EQs again, just to get rid of some of those resonant frequencies. And then this is the lead from Trivecta stream. It's the funky lead by Virtual Riot. I saw it from one of the streams he ran a long time ago. And then just really basic processing of just cutting out some of the highs, some lows, and then some bit of Saturn 2. And then yeah, if you watched my previous videos, it's the same idea of the lead layering. Everything is complementing with each other so that they can work together and make a full sounding drop, compared to like fighting for space and then just essentially making your mix really muddy. So let's say for example I don't have the Nexus patch, then the lead is not going to sound as wide. And then with it on. That's literally how I essentially just layer everything in my track, from build up to drop, the fills, the snare. Same idea, it's the same concepts. And then I have my ARPs. Same idea with that volume automation there, just so it can make kind of match the leads there. So yeah, so a lot of these layers are basically from Splice, and you just go to the trance genre, search up the presets. That's literally where I found most of these presets for the ARPs, and I think the trance section has a lot of like really cool melodic dubstep sounding ARPs that you can use, and even leads, because I actually use this for some of my leads as well. But that's literally where I found all these sounds. This is a trance kind of inspired or trance sounding lead right here, or ARP. Here's the second ARP. Some trance preset again. And then this same Orchid Plucks again. So it's just more transient. So I just had I didn't move the attack, and I didn't put the sustain. Keyscape. This is the same cinematic keyscape I always use. And same, just reverb again. Extend. Oh, this time I didn't make a longer decay. But yeah, basic reverb there, just 25% mix, 2 to 2.5 second decay, low cut. OTT, extend reverb again, some delay, and just another EQ to roll off some of those frequencies. And then what is this? Oh yeah, I think this is another trance lead. Yeah, but yeah, same idea with my ARP layering. It's literally the same thing where everything is complementing with each other. So like if I took this out, the ARPs are not going to sound as full. All the entire mids are gone again. And then if I were to do the same thing in my entire drop, it's the same thing. It's going to be missing some frequencies. So let's just like turn off these, for example. The drop is so much more lacking now, but when I turn these back on, So definitely essential in your melodic dubstep drops if you want to make this like huge wall of sound type of drop. And then something else that I do for melodic dubstep is that to kind of match this like kick, snare, pumping kind of pattern, I usually have my chords sustained to kind of match that rhythm essentially. So all my chords are just sustained and aren't really arpeggiated compared to like if I were to do future bass, you know, most of my chords are going to be arpeggiated, maybe like one or two might be sustained depending. Now there's nothing wrong with arpeggiating your chords here either. There's no rules to music. I just found with this kick snare pattern, what I usually like to do to kind of give that rhythmic feel to it is keep the chords sustained, but I'll add movement with the 16th note arps, and then some movement in my basses. And if, like, for example, if I arpeggiated like all these, then it'd be just too much in terms of the rhythmic side. So yeah, all my chords are sustained, and yeah, this is the same preset that I always use here from Alenium's Lonely. Just really basic 2 saws and a tri-saw, and then some chorus and EQ. And then next up is the same saw that I always use as well, is the Alenium higher saw, so it's up an octave essentially. Pretty basic, you know, same 2 saws, another tri-saw, no EQ, but some chorus this time. Some OTT, decapitator, and just a basic EQ. Flaming super saw, same as usual. Flaming super saw. And then some decapitator as well. And then AU5 chaos saw. Yeah, just check out AU5's channel, and then you can see how you can make this chaos saw as well. And all I really did was just add the Haas effect to make the saw wider. So then together they sound like this. A little bit of EQ on the whole entire channel, cut rolling off the highs to make room for the white noise and the crashes and rides. Just some high end here, some low end, and just cutting out some of those lows as well. And yeah, again, same principles. This is a less detuned saw. This one's probably a little bit more detuned, but a higher an octave. And then this one is just more detuned and wide. And this flaming super saw is kind of like the higher end distorted area, adding a little bit of texture as well. And then yeah, my bass layers is the same thing as well. I always use these 3 basses. I didn't even change it up this time. This is just a Cashmere angry bass that I've been using ever since Fairlane showed me like years ago that this is one of the basses he used, and I really liked it, so I didn't change it. Same processing I always do. OTT 60%, a little bit of volume boost, drum bus, and then just cutting out some of the body range, and then the highs, and then this is basically just kind of creating some movement. And yeah, sometimes what I'll do to create movement as well is I'll do an arpeggiator and just kind of like have it pluck for the 8th notes. But this time I decided just to kind of use the EQ to create some movement in my bass, and I just basically EQ'd it back and forth. And same thing here. Okay, Angry Boss. This one here. This is literally a preset from Serum, and just did some EQing again, final distortion to create movement, and also bring up the frequencies. And this is the Alenium silent bass. It's just a remake of his bass that he showed on his Lonely walkthrough. and then just OTT, drum bus, and same idea with the EQs. Now, just say for example, if we didn't have all these EQ, then it's gonna get a little bit clashy and messy in the lower end here. So let me show you. Yeah, really heavy on that like mid area, lower mid area. So that's why I EQ'd everything like that, just to give some more space. And that's how you know that you are EQing things correctly, when it doesn't take away from the drop, but it gives more freedom, which makes it sound more big. And that's how you know you're like finding that sweet spot for your mix. It's like if you EQ too much, then the drop is going to sound smaller than it should, and if you don't EQ at all, then it's just going to sound more muddy and still take away power from your drop too. And then this time, as you can see, my layering is a little different. Sometimes I have another saw layer to cover the mids a bit more, but this time, instead of that like mid saw, I have 4 different atmospheres. These are Nurko atmospheres. Heavy EQs on the lows, those just aren't needed. Same idea, it's just going to clash and just create a muddy mix, or a messy mix essentially. They both layer really well, and also pan a little left and right for a little bit more stereo width. This is another atmosphere here. And then this is a atmosphere. Big EQ here just to make space for the melodies or the leads. So just give you an example, if I didn't EQ it. So making more room for that lead to breathe. This is just a white noise and silence, nothing complicated here. And then effects, which is just this down sweep. And yeah, these are just where my fills are. But yeah, if you want to check out the whole entire project file again, I'll leave a link in the description below. Be sure to use that discount code, so that way you can receive 25 to 30% on this project file. There's also a mastering chain on here as well. If you wanted to check that out, you're welcome to go ahead and purchase the project file. Alright guys, thank you so much again for watching. Really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't yet, and hit the bell notification symbol so you know when my next video goes live. Follow me on my social media, like my Instagram and TikTok, because I post shorter music production tips on there. And then yeah guys, thanks so much for watching, and until next time, much love. Peace.